Hello, everyone, everywhere. This is Pastor Robert Thibodeau. Welcome to your On the Air video training for today. This is video number 13. And today we're going to be talking about the subject matter of grow as you progress. Grow as you progress. Now, when you're first starting off on your very first podcast that you've ever done, it's very important for you to do episode number 000. Okay. There's some things that I want you to do as you begin this program. You begin your introductory podcast session with the number 000. And what this is going to do, that's kind of podcast lingo, I guess you could say. Everybody knows, oh, this is the introduction. This is going to be the About Me program. And we're talking about that because I know some of you are really wanting to jump in and start to do something. We're still a few training sessions away from actually sitting down and organizing your first podcast and getting it on the air. But if you're wanting to jump ahead a little bit, it's important that you label this as 000. That'll let everybody know this is about you. This is about the podcast. This is going to be what's going to be covered in this podcast. Usually it's less than 5 minutes long because you're just going to talk about, hi, folks, this is me. This is the name of the podcast. This will be the subject matter that we're going to go over. And if you want to get in touch with me, this is how you do it. And by keeping it short like that, what this will allow you to do is if you mess up, you just delete it and start over. And it might take you 10 takes to get where you say, okay, this is good. This is what I'll run with. But that's okay because each take is going to get a little bit better. And the next one a little bit better. And the next one a little bit better than that. Remember what we just covered in the previous slide? After every podcast episode, write down what went right, what went wrong, what you can do to do better next time, and what you did not want to do and see happen again. You may have started a coughing spell in the middle of the podcast episode, in the middle of the recording or whatever. These are things that you will grow with. We're talking about growing your podcast as well. Now, you cannot begin to grow until you get that first podcast episode up there. But we have to be careful in what we're doing. If you are signed up for a podcast hosting service that automatically sends your podcast request as an RSS feed to the major podcast, like iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, things like that, you're going to lose some very valuable promotional periods, especially on iTunes. When you first send a podcast to iTunes and it gets accepted, you have basically 8 weeks, 2 months, where they're going to promote this podcast for you. You'll be shown, if you get some listenership, you'll rank in what's known as new and noteworthy. It's hard to get in there. But once you get in there for about 8 weeks, you're going to be visible to people looking for your subject matter, your niche, if you want to call it that. So that's why I'm advising you to hold off on publishing the podcast. Even if you want to start recording them now, just don't publish them. Put them in a folder. That's okay. And one of the things we're going to talk about in a future video is having 4 or 5 already in the queue, ready to load as soon as we reach that point where it's time to start promoting your podcast. You send them all at one time to iTunes. So bam, right away, iTunes is going to get this massive, 3, 4, 5 session podcast from you. And then you start promotion social media and among friends and family like that. And that'll help get you some exposure. Before we get there, I want you to practice on that introductory podcast. If it takes you 10 takes before you're comfortable with it, that's fine. And when you're comfortable with it today, set it aside. We'll be going through some more training tomorrow and the next however days we got on here. We're going to talk about equipment next week. So, once we get through that, we're ready to start getting the actual details of your podcast ready. And you're going to have a chance to go back and listen to, that's what I set aside for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then listen to it again. I guarantee there's going to be some things in there that you're going to want to change. Okay. You're going to say, oh, wow, I can't believe I said that. And I almost published that podcast. So that's why I'm saying it. Yesterday we said embrace that challenge. Today, just grow as you progress. As this podcast episode actually takes shape and your podcast is actually you're ready to go, and you're going to start gaining traction. You're going to get some downloads. You're going to start getting some listeners. Don't worry. Breathe, okay? And we will get you to the point where you're going to be able to walk, and that's really what this training program is all about. Crawl, walk, run. Okay, right now we're still at the crawl stage. I know some of you may find this this training program so simple, but because you've already got podcast experience, that's okay. We want to bring along those who want to join our ranks, all right? We want to bring along those who have no experience. Now, like I said, if you got experience, you can go on ahead, in your podcast career, but this training program is specifically designed to bring along those who have no experience and help them to join our ranks of being podcasters. And that's everything I'm focusing on. I mean, I could go right into some advanced techniques, down at the end, about little things that will SEO rank your podcast a little higher, but that's way down the road. I mean, this is going to be a step-by-step process to get there. Let me leave it like that. And I want you to grow your podcast. I want you to get some listenership. I want you to have people email you questions and send you comments and respond to every one of them, because very few ever get responses back from podcasts. They'll podcast, they'll listen to some professional podcaster out there who's got, 1 million downloads or whatever, and they'll send them a email, say, oh man, this was a great podcast, I really appreciate it. They won't hear back because he gets thousands of those emails every day. But if someone who's just starting out receives an email, man, that was great, I really enjoyed that, it's going to mean an awful lot. Respond to those. Say thank you so much. I appreciate your sharing our podcast with your friends and family too. These are things that we're going to cover. These are things that you need to know. These are things you need to understand. These are things you need to implement, and that's what we're going to be doing, because I want you to grow as you progress, all right? And we'll be going over that hand in hand, step by step. And when you stumble, we'll be right there to pick you up. You'll be able to come back and look at one of these videos where you had a problem and say, oh, yeah, that's where I went wrong. That's the point of this podcast, of this entire training program. All right? So that's all the time we have for today. I want you to, email me your questions at bob@ontheairradio.com, and, share this training program with your friends and family if you think that they want to start a podcast. Just tell them, hey, I got this great training program I've been going through, a short video every day, and it is helping me out a lot. Till next time, this is Bob Thibodeau. You have a blessed day.